Good morning, you guys. Good morning, and welcome to the Good News Sunday Show. My name is Sonia McCullough Lockridge, and I am your host. And I joy to come to you in this fashion. Now, today I come to you so we can talk a little bit about Nehemiah, navigating prayer with Nehemiah. So, for this portion of our Ezra and Nehemiah study, we are calling it, and this is the part one of the portion, Navigating Prayer with Nehemiah. We are calling this today, Reviving and Reforming a Nation Through a Constant Conversation. Because the reason why Nehemiah was successful in rebuilding this wall in 52 days was because he had prayed for 4 months. He had prayed for 120 days before the building process even began. So, he was successful in the funding and the construction of this wall because he had prayed fervently for 120 days. Now, incidentally, the funding came from a heathen source. So, not a source of the same household, but a heathen source is where the funding came from. So, navigating prayer with Nehemiah, reviving and reforming a nation through a constant conversation. Not necessarily a conversation with someone on a podcast. So he was not necessarily podcasting. He was in a constant conversation with the Lord God Almighty. A constant conversation with the Lord God Almighty. So today we are going to read the prayer portion of Nehemiah 1. There are 14 prayers in the book of Nehemiah. We will be looking at them probably in 12 prayers. 2 of his prayers are extremely short. They're one-liners. 2 of his prayers are one-liners. But that doesn't matter. We are still going to look at them. But we may look at them together rather than separate in the essence of time. In the essence of time. So today we are going to read that prayer. And then next week we are going to walk through the first prayer of Nehemiah in the book of Nehemiah. So in the book of Nehemiah, we are going to walk through that very first prayer. And I am flipping there right now. Sorry, it's taken me a few moments. I should have had it marked. I should have already had it marked. So, we are reading today in the NASB version of the text, the 1995 version of the NASB text. Now, so we're going to start in verse 1 and we will conclude when the prayer concludes. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hilkiah. Now it happened in the month of Chesva in the 20th year, while I was in Susa, the capital, that Hananiah, one of my brothers, and some men from Judah came, and I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped and survived the captivity and about Jerusalem. They said to me, the remnant there in the province who survived the captivity are in great distress and reproach, and the wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. When I heard these words, I sat down and wept and mourned 4 days. And I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. I said, I beseech you, O Lord, God of heaven, the great and awesome God who preserves the covenant and loving kindness for those who love him and keep his commandments. Let your ear now be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer of your servant while I am praying before you, now, day and night, on behalf of the sons of Israel, your servants, confessing the sins of the sons of Israel, which we have sinned against you. I and my father's house have sinned. We have acted very corruptly against you, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the ordinances which you command your servant Moses. Remember the word which you commanded your servant Moses, saying, if you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the peoples. But if you return to me and keep my commandments and do them, though those of you who have been scattered were in the most remote parts of the heavens, I will gather them from there and will bring them to the place where I have chosen to cause my name to dwell. They are your servants and your people, whom you redeem by your great power and by your strong hand. O Lord, I beseech you, you may your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and the prayer of your servants who delight to revere your name, and make your servant successful today, and grant him compassion before this man. Now I was the cupbearer to the king. That is Nehemiah's prayer that he prayed prior to going to the king and requesting permission to journey to begin the reconstruction of the wall. So that is all I have for us today. Next week we will walk through this prayer of Nehemiah and pick it apart. We're going to pick it apart and learn what we can from the prayer of Nehemiah. Believe the good news and give thanks for God's blessing. Believe the good news and give thanks for God's blessing. This is Sonia signing out for the Good News Sunday Show, Keyword Bible Studies, the Bible Study Studio, and a host of many other things. Thank you and have a blessed day in the Lord.